Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're talking about a specific kind of leader, someone we call a pathfinder.
Right. Not just someone who talks about change, but someone who actually physically builds the infrastructure for it.
Exactly. Laying the groundwork, managing the construction, building opportunity, literally.
And that description. It fits State Representative Barbara Gervin-Hawkins perfectly. She's from Texas House District 120, that's parts of San Antonio, Converse, Windcrest, Kirby, and her political power now in the Texas House. You really can't separate it from what she did before politics, decades of it.
Quantifiable success, right? As an educator, developer, businesswoman.
Precisely. Tangible results.
So that's our mission today, tracing that pipeline. How does that hands-on ground-level service translate into, real legislative clout in Austin?
It's a fascinating pathway and clearly effective. She was just recognized with a 2025 D2 Strong Community Pathfinder for Progress Award.
Yeah, she's seen as formidable, deeply rooted, known more for being pragmatic, getting results, than maybe fiery speeches.
It really is a masterclass in building that solid political base. And her record, well, it tells quite a story. To really get it, we need to go back to the beginning.
Her foundation, right, that pragmatism and finance background.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's unpack that. Born in Detroit, 1954.
Yep. Raised by a single mom, 6 kids in the house during the late 60s. So, she understood economic hardship firsthand.
That wasn't just theory for her.
Not at all. And interestingly, her first step wasn't social work or education. It was business. Hard numbers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she got a BA in accounting, Eastern Michigan University, 1975. Right away, she jumped into the corporate world.
Which companies are we talking about? Big ones?
Pretty big, yeah. Ford Motor Company, Detroit Edison.
Okay, so major corporate experience early on.
Right. Foundational years in finance, management, learning budgets, big organizations, accountability. That language, that early experience, it's really crucial context.
Then comes a big shift, personally and professionally. Around 1980, she moves.
Pivots to Texas, yeah. Yeah. San Antonio. And the reason, to be the personal accountant for her older brother.
The George, the Iceman Gervin, NBA legend.
The very same. And that move, it anchored her right there in the San Antonio community.
So she's got this finance background, corporate experience. Now she's managing finances for a major sports figure.
But then she makes another big educational move. After years in finance, she pivots towards social impact. Goes back to school.
Gets a master's in education, right, from Our Lady of the Lake University.
And even pursued a PhD in leadership. Didn't just study it either.
Yo.
She got certified as a math teacher and as a principal.
Wow. Okay, so that's the blend you were talking about. Accounting, corporate management, and deep educational training and credentials.
Exactly. That's her sort of political superpower, if you will.
Yeah.
She can push for ambitious social programs, education initiatives.
But she speaks the language of finance, budgets, development, ROI.
Precisely. She's got the teacher's heart, but maybe the CFO spreadsheet skills.
Okay, that leads us perfectly into part 2, her community power. Built up over decades, way before she even thought about running for office.
Right. This isn't just about starting a nonprofit. She became a serious community developer and educator.
The George Gervin legacy stuff.
Key part of it. The George Gervin Youth Center in 91, then the George Gervin Academy in 94, and that academy, that was one of the very first charter schools in Texas.
Really? Mid-90s?
Mid-90s. Think about that. Charter schools were still pretty new, kind of controversial, definitely challenging to set up back then. Shows real foresight.
And the goal wasn't easy either. Working with at-risk youth, the ones traditional schools maybe couldn't reach.
The ones falling through the cracks, yeah.
Yeah.
And the results, crucially, they're documented. We're not just talking feel-good stories.
What kind of numbers are we seeing?
Well, one standout metric, she helped over 1,800 high school dropouts get their diplomas.
1,800, that's massive impact. That's changing lives.
It shows she wasn't just running a school. It was an intervention designed to fix a systemic problem. And today, the school's A-rated, serves what, 1,200, 1,500 students?
And reports that incredible 0% dropout rate.
That's the one. Incredible for that specific population.
But it wasn't just education, was it? You mentioned development, the Pathfinder idea.
That's right. She also mastered business development, building things, literally. The big figure here is over $93 million in completed brick-and-mortar projects.
$93 million? What kind of projects?
Resulting in 322 units of quality, affordable housing. Think about that expertise.
Oh,
Zoning,
wow.
construction budgets, financing capital projects.
So she went from community advocate to actual developer, building the solutions.
Exactly. And that gives her huge credibility, not just with housing advocates, but with, the powerful business folks in Austin, too.
Because she's done it. She knows how it works.
When she talks about something like the low-income housing tax credit, she's not just talking need. She's got the project management background to explain exactly how state incentives need to work to make, a $93 million community development portfolio actually happen.
That deep community foundation. It makes her entry into politics seem almost seamless.
Well, when she ran for the House in 2016, she wasn't starting from scratch, building a network. She was basically just transferring this huge base of trust she'd already built over decades into electoral politics.
Was that first race tough?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
The 2016 primary was crowded, 6 candidates. It went to a runoff.
Oh,
And she won that runoff, but fairly narrowly, 53.6%. So she had to fight for it initially.
but after that...
That was it.
Yeah.
That was the last competitive primary she ever faced.
Wait, really? Since 2016?
Never had another primary challenger.
Wow.
100% of the Democratic primary vote in 2018, 2020, 2022, and just now in 2024.
That's remarkable in Texas politics. Basically tells potential challengers don't even bother.
It's a powerful deterrent effect, right? They look at her roots, her track record, her funding. She's raised, nearly $850,000 over 5 cycles.
Solid funding.
And they realize, slim chance against an incumbent that's secure.
But I wonder, does that kind of security, never facing a primary fight, does it risk, complacency? Where does the pressure to evolve come from, if not from a direct challenge?
That's a fair question. Without that primary pressure cooker, the focus shifts entirely to her performance inside the legislature. Internal influence.
Delivering for the district.
Constantly. To justify that security. And you see that reflected in her committee assignments. Her climb has been strategic.
Let's talk about that trajectory, because her influence seems to have really peaked lately.
Yeah, she started out freshman year, 85th session, on committees that made sense, like criminal jurisprudence, culture, and tourism, standard stuff.
Okay.
But fast forward a few sessions. By the 88th and 89th sessions, that's 2023 through 2025, she lands on the 2 most powerful money committees in the House.
Which are?
Appropriations and Ways and Means.
Okay, for listeners maybe not deep in the Texas ledge weeds, explain why those 2 are such a big deal.
Sure. Committee assignments are everything. They signal huge trust from the Speaker. Appropriations literally controls the state budget, every single dollar, where it goes.
The purse strings.
Completely. And Ways and Means. That oversees all taxation, how the state brings money in, revenue generation.
So holding seats on both, that's immense power over state finances.
It's a massive leap. Like you said, she went from being an advocate asking for funds to being a key decider on who gets funded and how the state pays for it.
And she has other leadership roles too, right?
Definitely. She served as chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, TLBC. So that's a really influential group on statewide issues, equity, voting rights, funding. Plus, she's on the redistricting committee, always crucial.
Okay, so policy-wise, how does this pragmatic progressive label play out, especially with that background charter school, founder, corporate accountant?
It leads to some interesting nuanced positions. Take education. Given her history, she's definitely pro-charter school, files bills for their tax exemptions, facility funding.
Makes sense.
But at the same time, she supports traditional public schools, too. She voted to raise the basic per-student funding allotment. She seems to want success across the board.
Focused on what works, maybe, regardless of the model.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Looking for functional solutions. And you see that focus in her other priorities, too.
Like what?
Low-income housing tax credits. That
Yeah.
ties straight back to her $93 million in development work.
Right.
Workforce development, pushing for Medicaid expansion. Ideas like making community college free. All aimed at tackling those socioeconomic issues she dealt with on the ground for years.
Any specific bills that stand out recently?
Well, for the 2025 session, she filed HB 619. It's about high school sports.
Oh.
It would let student athletes have one transfer under UIL rules without penalty.
That seems very specific.
It does, but it's likely targeted, right? Addressing a particular equity or access issue, maybe facing students in her own community, that kind of specific, pragmatic fix.
But she's not afraid to fight either.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
She was fierce in opposing the Republican-led redistricting, testified in federal court about it, and she was right there defending minority party rights during those big quorum breaks a while back.
So she can draw a line in the sand.
Definitely. But she still keeps that deal-maker reputation. Look at the school voucher debate.
Yeah.
She voted against the private school vouchers, but she also made it known she was willing to come to the table to negotiate with leadership. That again shows that pragmatism, trying to find a path forward even across divides.
Okay, so we've got this pragmatic, specific policy focus. Let's connect it back to her district. The ultimate test, right? Does her work actually match the needs of District 120?
That symbiosis, yeah. It's really the key to her electoral strength.
So tell us about District 120. What's it like?
It's in Bexar County. Majority minority, about 51% Hispanic, almost 25% Black. And crucially, it's a community with significant need.
How so?
The poverty rate is noticeably higher than the state average. 19.3% versus about 13.8% statewide.
Correct.
And per capita income, educational attainment levels. They also lag behind the Texas average.
So when she's championing affordable housing, helping dropouts get diplomas, focusing on workforce development,
She's tackling the core defining challenges of her own constituents. It's not abstract for her or for them.
they didn't need an introduction back in 2016.
Not at all. Her entire career before politics, the youth center, the academy, the housing, it was all aimed squarely at serving that exact population. She wasn't some outsider trying to get elected. She was their proven community leader stepping up to a higher level.
It really seems like the summary of her career is use business, use education, make a real tangible impact first, then step into government to scale that impact.
Turning vision into physical reality before aiming for statewide policy change.
That's the Pathfinder idea right there.
Exactly. That's the Pathfinder for progress. She's using her influence in Austin now to tackle those same systemic issues. Poverty, education gaps, housing shortages, but on a macro scale. The same problems she spent decades chipping away at.
Right.
One student, one housing unit, one budget at a time. It's quite a trajectory.
It really is. Okay, we've talked a lot about how her education and community development background shapes her social policy. But let's circle back to the very beginning, those foundational years: Ford, Detroit Edison, corporate accountant, then her brother's personal accountant.
Right, the finance grounding.
So what does it say to you that this person with that specific financial background now sits on appropriations and Ways and Means, the two monster finance committees in the Texas House? Is her command of the state budget, of tax policy, is that the ultimate culmination of that business foundation from decades ago? And thinking about her model building deep physical community results before running, what does that suggest about the most effective ways to gain political power today? Is that kind of measurable, tangible impact becoming the real key to electoral security and genuine influence? What does that mean for leaders who might focus more purely on advocacy or organizing alone? Something for you, the listener, to think about after this deep dive?